Okay, well, once again, folks, I want to continue with talking about compassionate leadership. The last time that I spoke, I shared that I had found a list of leadership, diseases of leadership, that was very explicitly spoken by Pope Francis to the Vatican Curia about 2 years ago. And he was quite explicit and quite direct. And I think that, and I want to really be very clear that it's not about, okay, now we have our ammunition to find fault with all the leaders of the world. But if there's, and every institution, every organization, everything that has people joined in some sort of endeavor, we're going to have to look and see how that endeavor is unfolding in regards to who's leading it, who's collaborating, who's part of the group. So whether it's the Catholic Church or some social endeavor, there's going to be somebody that's going to sort of take a leadership role. And so it's really nice for our own minds, for the groups that we're participating in on our own little world level, to see what are the challenges and the difficulties that really get in the way of being a compassionate leader. And how does the Dharma help us to counteract those maladies and really help us to cultivate the qualities that are so important as far as leadership goes? So the last time, I took not all of the things on Pope Francis's list. I wanted ones that would seem to really address more core issues, at least for me personally and for the community too. So the first one, just to review, was the disease of thinking we are immortal, immune, or downright indispensable. So this was the one that really we turn ourselves into lords and masters who think of ourselves above others and not at their service. Comes from a superiority complex and a narcissism which passionately gazes at its image in the mirror and does not see the faces of those that they serve or that they collaborate with. So the antidote was humility. I am a servant of others, as Lama Yeshe has said. So that was the first one that I wanted to share. The second one, we talked about excessive busyness, which we are so immersed in our work that we don't give ourselves any time for rest, for respite, especially when we finish some really large project where we put our hearts and minds into, that it's really crucial that we give ourselves some respite, or else we're just going to carry that into the next process and to the next project, and we're going to be stressed, we're going to be agitated, we're going to be grumpy big time. So really taking, and it's actually one of the qualities of joyous effort is rest, believe it or not. The third one was the disease of poor coordination. This is all about when members don't work together and they lose the spirit of camaraderie and teamwork, which is exemplified in the analogy of the foot saying to the arm, I don't need you, or the hand saying to the head, I'm in charge. So this is basically what we want to do here is for the antidote to this is to have our motivation not be polluted by self-interest. The 8 worldly concerns play a huge role in a lot of these maladies regarding leadership, is that we're just too attached to possessions, to praise, to sense pleasures, to having a good reputation. And that really becomes our downfall. And that also, these wonderful endeavors we do as a group, they're all dependent arisings. They depend on so many things, so many people, so many skills and talents. Then we had one that was called the disease of gossiping, grumbling, and backbiting. This is a grave illness. It is the terrorism of gossip, which basically sets small talk into motion, becomes sometimes harsh speech or divisive speech, and can really sabotage any type of wholesome endeavor. And the antidote to that is to counteract immediately if we find ourselves in a conversation with somebody who's starting to go off on a tangent about somebody who's not there, pointing out their faults and shortcomings. And to really be very clear that our speech has powerful results and influence in the world, and to really know that guarding our speech, knowing that whatever we put out is going to come back around a whole lot stronger than what we put out. So really looking at the karmic result of divisive speech and gossip and harsh speech. The next one was the disease of idolizing superiors. So this is where our motivation is just so caught up in the 8 worldly concerns that we court those in charge, those with power, those have influence, in hopes of gaining their favor. All right, so we're victims of opportunism. Superiors, on the other hand, can be affected by this disease when they try to obtain submission, loyalty, and psychological dependency of their subordinates, which, is just deadly. Deadly. There's no trust, there's no open-heartedness, there's no confidence in each other because you just don't trust anybody. And then the one that I wanted to share today is called the disease of indifference to others. This is where each leader thinks only of himself or herself and loses the sincerity and warmth of genuine human relationships. This can happen so much, especially when an organization or a business or an endeavor gets to be really, really huge. You just lose contact with yourself and your motivation. You lose contact of all the incredible people who are involved in making it happen. This can happen in many ways when the most knowledgeable person does not put that knowledge at the service of less knowledgeable colleagues. When you learn something, then keep it to yourself rather than sharing it in a helpful way. Then when out of jealousy or deceit you take joy in seeing others fall instead of helping them up and encouraging them. So this is a mind of incredible stinginess, possessiveness, competitiveness. So when I thought about this today, I thought that the antidote would be the practice of generosity, particularly the practice of giving not so much material possessions, but giving of our talent, our experience, our skills, our wisdom, our knowledge. And that I believe one of the main causes that any worthwhile endeavor or enterprise or organization fails is that those who are sort of the leaders, the captains of the ship, are just stingy and miserly and keep that knowledge and experience to themselves in a way to control and to keep the power. And they hoard it. There's an insecurity in there some way. And that knowledge and experience is worth a lot in the world, in the realm of human resources and of collaborative ventures. It's like a gold mine. Any kind of knowledge, skills, expertise, wisdom that we have to bring it to the collaborative whole endeavor, it's like a gold mine. And to see that stingy, fearful, competitive mind that keeps knowledge from others is extremely paralyzing rather than being able to promote harmony, growth, and collaboration. So as my wise sister Jane once said, and she's been a director, a facilitator, and a board member over the course of her life, she once said to me, early in my life here at the Abbey, and I'm going to paraphrase this, she said, share what you know and always plan to be replaceable. If you are a leader, you need to teach, guide, empower people with all the knowledge you have. In the event you decide to leave or get sick or die, the organization, the group, the community is not going to fall apart. So you want to practice replaceability. You want to give. This is a practice of kindness and a practice of generosity for everybody. It's a huge service involved by giving all your wisdom away, so that if something should happen to you, the place is not going to fall apart. So I wanted to give an example here at the Abbey because we do this as best as we can. Our community is growing, and as it's growing, what we do and what we need to do to really keep the Dharma going out there and practicing and teaching and traveling and sharing, that we've had to learn how to share our wisdom with each other. The community travels a lot, comes and goes, people get sick. Luckily, nobody has died yet. But we try and support each other by sharing whatever knowledge and expertise we have for the task that we're given. And this is so amazing because a lot of us folks came into this community. We had capacities in worldly life, but when you come into the Abbey, you have to learn things that you never thought you had to learn. And then once you get really skilled at that, then it's really wise to teach 1, 2, 3 people the same thing should anything happen to you. And we've had enough of experience in growing the community that people have taken on responsibilities and have skills and talents, and then they've left, and we were really like, there was a big void. So I wanted to share, this is a perfect example of Venerable Chuni. I think she's probably for me right now when I thought about who could I give as an example above Venerable Children, who's the most wonderful practitioner of generosity, and as far as I'm concerned, that I know. But Venerable Chuni had requested of the community a few months ago that she go and study for a few months. And we said, in support of her practice, we said yes. And Venerable Chuni has a lot of responsibility. So to watch her practice of generosity, even a few months before she left, was really inspiring. She shared all of her knowledge and expertise. She deals with the website, she deals with inviting generosity, outreach, the e-news, practice experience, going out and teaching. She has, all of us have a lot of responsibility, and hers are very specific, a lot with the website and stuff. And she took months to find people who she could teach and to pass on her knowledge so that while she was away, the things that she held were going to be taken care of. She got an entire team to cover her, because she wanted to, first of all, go with a peaceful mind, knowing that all of her offering service responsibilities were going to be held. And she totally gave it away so that when she left, and I've seen ever since she left that this community has picked up in remarkable ways, that the people in the community who were asked to do this because they have a certain level of skill and expertise, and they so gladly and joyfully took on her responsibilities. And the transition was like, I didn't notice any big bumps in the road. So there was no hoarding, there was no stinginess from her side whatsoever. So where there is an endeavor in a community or an organization, if there's someone who's keeping the ship on course, and in this community we have a lot of people helping to keep the ship on course, but there's this idea that we share that generosity, we share those skills, and to see how this plays itself out in the world stage, politically and environmentally, and organizations and businesses. Do the leaders willingly share their wisdom with those under them or people that may need to know? Or do they hold it with a stingy, frugal mind? And this is a practice, whether we're leaders or not, is to be able to share our wisdom of the Dharma, to be able to share our wisdom of whatever skills that would be of benefit. And as a result, the day that we leave or die or get sick, there's no problem. So I really aspire to and pray that the leaders of our world and leaders in all sorts of endeavors really practice this beautiful, far-reaching endeavor of generosity, because it will really serve the world quite well.